Hey Lana, thanks so much for submitting a question to me. Lana's question is basically saying I struggle with technology. Zoom sessions and making sure my equipment is working properly is often a struggle for me. What should I do? And this is a good question because there are a lot of actors these days who have trouble with it because things are just constantly changing and evolving. And back years ago, it was go to the audition in person, perform, and then you're done. Make some phone calls if needed, send out snail mail. Now it's email, there's Zoom, there's learning how to set up your own self-tape studio with lighting, and you need to basically know how to do everything yourself, which is crazy. But at the same time, the reality is that that's the way that the industry is going, and it's your responsibility to make sure that you're able to do what is asked of you. I like to look at challenges like this as actually benefits. I am generally of the mindset that if something seems to be terrible on the surface, there's probably an actual benefit to it, and it's my responsibility to figure out how I can find that benefit. In this case, one of those benefits of technology being really complicated is that a lot of people wind up giving up or deciding that they should not continue in their pursuit of being an actor. And that means that if you are willing to figure out how to do the technology and how to work your way through it, you have a lot less competition, okay? So basically what I'm trying to say here is that learning the technology is critical. There is so much free information on Google, and I would strongly recommend that you make it your top priority to figure out on your own how to make your setup work, which means just set aside like an hour a day for, even if you don't have that much time, 30 minutes on a few days. But just basically take a few days where you're going to dedicate, like, I'm not going to submit to auditions. I'm not going to really do much else. My whole goal is to learn how to use the technology and how to set up my own self-tape and Zoom setups so that I am not constantly being, screwed over by this challenge here. Okay, you could technically pay someone to teach you and they could help you set it up, but I would recommend that you really dedicate the time to learning it yourself, because if a problem arises, you're going to need to have that muscle or that understanding of how to go about fixing it on your own so that you don't have to constantly call someone, okay? So I strongly recommend that you start with Google, and you can also use YouTube. If you search for how to set up Zoom, and then as you start to come into contact with new words that you don't understand, like maybe a word like, what is H.264 codec? Yeah, it sounds complicated, but if you Google it, then you'll learn that too. The whole point is that you start doing research. Anytime that myself or any people who work on my team want to implement something new in the company, it's crazy, but we need to do a lot of research, and we need to spend actual hours of our time trying to figure out how to make things work for us. So it all starts with Google. I highly recommend that you prioritize learning this so that you don't have to deal with this anymore. So I attached one link that's relevant below, which is how I recommend setting up a self-tape studio. It doesn't talk so much about the technical side of the technology, but it does talk about some of the more general aspects, like where to position your camera, how to get good lighting, and all of that. If you have a good professional looking setup, and you can do auditions and meetings with that setup, you're going to be way ahead of all of the other actors who are in your type or look or age range or whatever. You're going to be way ahead of all the people who don't want to spend the time to figure this out. So I hope that helps. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell so that you get notified anytime that I upload more videos. And I really appreciate you taking the time to email me with your question.